Okay. So, hi Meredith. One announcement I had was I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Ashley Beckham tomorrow. She's mold expert, but also just like root cause medicine, epigenetics, um, homeopathic, so functional medicine, Chinese medicine. So I met her through Death Bio. I think she's one of their mm, mentors or whatever you call it. And so that'll be tomorrow at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. So let me give you that link in the chat. And it'll be a meeting format like this, so it'll be really easy to ask questions. I think it'll be good for pediatric questions and also like sensitive patient type questions, also complex client type questions. Sorry. Mhm. Since I'm in Zoom, it's making it a little harder to get the Zoom link. One sec.
Will that be recorded, Bridget?
Yes, I'm just gonna put it on YouTube right afterwards.
Okay, great.
Mhm. Almost there. There we go. Okay, so there you go. That's the link. Anita and Allie, I was saying I'm interviewing a mold expert tomorrow at 2 Civic, and it'll come out in the email, my like newsletter, but also that's the link to it. I've really been pestering EnviroBiomics. I've emailed them twice and called them, and they haven't booked anything with me yet, so I don't have that one for you. I did find out that Primal Trust also does a 2 month free use for practitioners. So if that's something you're interested in, um, my friend just sent me the link. I don't know if they kind of guard the link or if it's pretty like open to everybody or whatever, but they do, it is something that they offer. If that's a program you wanted to test out, you could reach out to them. And Karen and I have been talking about an upcoming membership program to kind of continue community, continue um, training in this mold space. So we're having some really good ideas. Karen, I feel like maybe I need a little month. I need a couple months off. Like maybe we should start this, like give people a little couple months break because you guys are probably feeling the same way. But we had the idea of once a month to give you guys the opportunity to do a little presentation on something that you are an expert at. It could be something really kind of specific and small, so to speak, or it could be, yeah, it could be just anything that you feel like is a little expertise that you could share, and you can make like slides if you want, um, and just kind of practice your presenting, and that helps us get to know you better. And I thought potentially I could share those to my community as well, if that's something that you want, if you're wanting exposure, that's something I could do. So that would be what one call a month, and then we'd have question time. And then another call a month, I will present on basically whatever topics you guys are wanting. So if it's what is it, the actinomyces, I think we talked about. Um, I could do a presentation on that. I can do it on, you know, anything really that you're wanting. So just kind of like developing a list of topics um, and go kind of building it as we go and doing Q&A and having like a little group platform for chatting and asking each other like more urgent questions and supporting each other that way. Um, So if you have any feedback or any requests, you can just, I'll put my email in there here too. You're welcome to just share it. Um, but I'm trying to make it really affordable so you don't have to stress about it, in just a way that we can keep supporting each other moving forward. And then today as well, if you just want to, have a little share, like if you're looking for clients, um, to send your way, and you do have a specialty, or you're in a certain area, whatever, we can have some time today to just share that. Um, what else? What is there someone? Hi, Tara. There's no one else.
Hi.
Hi. I just saw you came on. Hi, Amy. Is, I don't. Is Ashley here? I think I got a case study from Ashley, so we'll cover that in a minute. Um, one sec. Be nice if she were here so we can talk about it. But if not, we'll just talk about it. We can look at it all together. Um, okay, last little thing, or a couple things I wanted to share is I may do a group cleanse in the summer. Who was it? Was it Amy who did the Death Bio cleanse just recently with me? I may do that for my broader community in the summer. So if that's something you want to join and experience and learn about, you can do that. And I think afterwards I'll share a couple like kind of next step cleanses that they offer. They have a candida cleanse, and they have like a weight loss program. So just wanted to mention that. And then last little just fun mention is Desbio offers a post-traumatic stress tincture. And one thing that I was encouraged to or suggested to do is give people a PTSD quiz beforehand, and then have them take the tincture for the month and then do the quiz again. So, often when we're in a lot of like emotional stress, um, it's hard to see, like tell that things are getting better. So it's just a way to kind of check in. And I would assume you can do the tincture, over a span of time. Uh, but it's just a way to kind of add some measurement into the mix. So let me share with you that form. This is a fillable PDF, which is kind of handy too, because your clients can just, I don't know if you guys have ever used this before, but I hadn't. I thought it was kind of helpful.
And and I'm sorry, Bridget, I missed the tincture. This is looks like a government form you just shared, and the tincture is something you have that you've used.
Yeah, I'll show you that in a second. But this is just like a PTSD quiz self-assessment. So, for instance, if your client, they may start this out and feeling jumpy or easily startled as a 4, and then maybe they notice, oh yeah, that's not as strong for me now. It's like a 2. So just an interesting way to kind of like follow along, and perhaps a way to let your clients know, especially our mold clients, kind of be aware that they really are going through a lot of stress, and this experience is affecting them. Um, so just to kind of make it more like tangible. So yeah, let me show you the tincture, Karen. I so far have not used this tincture myself like regularly. I've used it more like just as needed for like stress. So maybe I should play around with. I just don't feel like I'm really in that state of needing it like every, but maybe I should take the quiz. uh, yeah, they have a lot of different emotional kind of remedies that I'm learning about, which are pretty cool. And we'll cover some of that in the webinar tomorrow. Mhm. Okay, so this is it, and this is, I think, the wholesale price. Um, so They also have one called anxiety, but this one is a little bit stronger, so to speak, for more of like a shock kind of state. Oh, okay. Oh, Amy, you didn't end up doing it? Okay. Did you buy the kit? Because we could do it this summer if you like. Yeah, Allie, I'd love to. Yeah. If um okay. Yeah, I would love to. Well, I'll just share my experience. I mean, I think because I signed up for this cleanse kit kind of last minute. I'm talking about the Death Bio Omni Cleanse. I hadn't really like prepared mentally or physically for doing a cleanse, and I was starting to work in a new clinic, and I had my period, so it was definitely like, oh boy. But then as I got going, like I got better prepared with food and stuff. I would say the most interesting thing that happened for me is that I had this big area in my forehead that was very activated, and I feel like something was clearing from there. And I actually still kind of feel like it's activated. And as my follow up for the cleanse, I'm doing their brain reset homeopathic program for head injuries. So maybe that's why I'm still feeling this area. I'm not really sure. It's kind of a new thing for me. I kind of lost a few pounds of body fat too, which most everybody would like. So it's a good way to just kind of like reset your habits and get in a little more control of your diet. And they like to do that before you move into other protocols just to kind of like clear the body and get the body ready. And then they sometimes suggest it after protocols too, or at the end, just to clear up like waste products if you're killing bugs and stuff like that. I just went to the Death Bio Epstein Barr lecture last week. They have all the recordings of old lectures too, but it was pretty interesting. And that's when she said she uses the kit too towards the end to like just clean out all the waste products from things. So I thought that was really cool. Uh, okay, what else were we talking about? Anybody want to share anything or any questions before we move into a case study? And hi to Jennifer joined in.
Hi.
Hi
Yeah.
Jennifer, haven't seen you in a bit.
First, am I still muted?
No, you're here. I just can't
Okay.
see the video.
Um, Sorry, like I'm still like at an Airbnb and things are just like crazy. Like with our remediation failing and everything. And
Oh,
oh
I'm
my God, it
sorry.
is such a mess. Like, so we come to this Airbnb and then we find out like there's mold in the washer. And it has just been like a nightmare. But anyways, first I wanted to say happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there and aunts and uh
All the ladies, we all
surrogate
count,
moms and
right?
grandmothers. And I have a dog, but she did not get me a dog tour, but she sadly did not get me a card. So I'm a little upset about that. But um I keep getting like different information about remediation. And I just feel at this point like I don't know who I can trust and, like what to do. And so I'm just like wondering what are your thoughts about an encapsulation and should testing be done before or after? And then like in terms of encapsulation, some people say like if you're going to do it, it should be clear. Um,
So
yeah.
encapsulating what area?
Uh, so in my situation, they encapsulated like pretty much everything, like including the attic vents. So it's blocking ventilation. Um, and as we're approaching the summer months in Pennsylvania and the humidity, and we don't have an HVAC system put in because we were advised to remove it. And the team threw away some parts of the HVAC system that didn't have to be
Oh
removed.
no. Oh,
clean.
shoot.
So, um, yeah, it's like pretty much my whole house has been painted. And then now I'm like worried that my home is worse than it was before because it just like smells like paint. And
Yeah, we tend to become chemically sensitive and increasingly chemically sensitive, and then increasingly, like, just the nervous system is on high alert. And we were talking about the trauma. I have some clients who just moved, and yeah, they're in a clean space, but they're buying a lot of products, and they feel like they're reacting to that. So I'm kind of working with them through that. As far as encapsulation, is it like permanent? Like they're gonna leave those things there and like,
like I'm worried my home is completely destroyed forever because it's not it's like white paint. I can't see through it. I don't know if they just like covered or like painted over the mold.
mm,
I was told the only way you can really remove it is like sand it all down. I don't know who's going to do that in a 5,000 square foot house.
mm.
And
When did you buy the house?
2000.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, obviously I'm more health side than home side, but I've interviewed a lot of people and it's always removal or yeah, if something is left that like needs to be like wood beam would need to be like sanded and then, sprayed, but if something's affected, it needs to be just removed. So if it's a duct, sometimes that can be treated and sprayed, but some people who are really sensitive have to get all the duct removed and just like taken away
Yeah. Yeah.
permanently.
But
So
I mean, does it makes sense to encapsulate like an entire house? I mean,
no, I mean, from what I'm understanding, yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand their approach with that. I would be nervous about it too. I don't really understand what they're doing with that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, and then they made like I know they had to remove part of the subfloor, but they removed like part of the entire floor, so there was like a huge hole in between the living room and the basement, and we had to get like a structural engineer and like it's
yeah,
I'm
Meredith,
afraid like
Meredith, you want to hop on here? Meredith is asking, did your remediator follow the IICRC guidelines? Did they follow a certain guidelines for removing and remediating?
um based on some people I've spoken to now,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is
Well,
scary. I won't name names, but they're promoted by a lot of people.
oh shoot. Okay. Yeah, Meredith is pretty good at this stuff, and she's on the East Coast, so maybe she can help you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hi. I'm
yeah.
sorry you're in the middle of that.
Do you have like any like names of like who to consult? I mean, um,
I have a really good remediator in Pennsylvania. I'm not sure where you are. I know it's a big state, but I can send you his name to speak with.
okay,
Yeah, probably good to get a second opinion.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, are you planning on replacing the HVAC? They should have dehumidifiers in the home while you're
Yeah, there
waiting.
are there are dehumidifiers, and we have like many splits in the basement who that act as dehumidifiers, but and they remove those, which to their credit was good because our first remediator done it, but um you know uh everything else was left and or except for like other key things like the HVAC stuff and then just like painted and I'm just like I don't know.
Are they following a scope of work from an inspector?
Um it, I mean in my opinion they're like going beyond that and they're not following the guidelines, but it's already been done. The damage has already been done. So I
Yeah.
mean at this point, I don't know if I can ever return to my home. Like so talk
Oh,
about anxiety that and
yeah.
PTSD. That's pretty like
Sorry,
yeah.
that's no good at all. I'll put so his name is Alan Feinberg. He actually doesn't even have a website because it's just word of mouth. He's very, very, very good. He goes above and beyond for clients. So I'll pop his name in the chat here for you and hopefully he can advise you.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
that helpful?
Yeah.
Meredith, Allie is asking about New Jersey too for post-remediating testing, if you have any.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I have a couple for New Jersey too.
Oh, okay.
I knew Meredith was the one to ask. I'm
I'm
like,
yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania and I have an advocacy group, but in terms of like remediation companies, in terms of like further remediation, I mean, are there any people you guys recommend?
I mean,
well,
this is, oh, sorry, you go. Sorry.
no, I don't. I was just gonna say I don't really have a ton of names. Maybe this is something I can develop over time, but I was in Oregon, which is a long, long way away, and we didn't remediate at first correctly either. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a great database, even though it's a question I get a lot. Because I feel like you really have to know the people and have like a
Yeah,
firsthand experience.
it seems like my, home plans, I mean, like, I work with Change the Air and they talk, like, I know Mike Rubino is like one of the co-founders and, he did Gwyneth Paltrow's home. And I'm like, well, I mean, if you get what you pay for and if it's good enough for like Gwyneth Paltrow, it must be good enough for me. Like,
Mm.
I don't
Well,
know if,
maybe it's just an understanding thing too. Like maybe you can have a, talk to Meredith's contact and, maybe again, I don't know everything in this case, right? So I can't say for sure. Maybe there's something that I'm not understanding in how they're handling it. Um, but if you're feeling unsure, that's not good, right? So we've got to like get through that. Um,
I know, and now I'm like nervous, like, because, like, it seemed like the inspector like kind of recommended the remediator. So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, can you go by their recommendations at all, or like
Uh, yeah.
just
I mean, I think the bigger question at like, oh, can we trust anyone? Well, that's getting into like something a little different. Like, let's get back to like your situation. Like, do you feel comfortable? Like, is there something we don't understand? Do we need a second opinion? Like get through this part, and I'll just put it out there and not saying this is my advice, but in the end, I think we remediated our house very well, but we just emotionally did not feel good about moving back in. I was
okay?
just like, I'm never gonna feel safe here.
Oh,
I just
that's right. You
don't.
did your own home, right?
Yeah, we spent, I mean, I
Wow.
probably wouldn't recommend what we did exactly, but we did everything. We got the walls wiped down, we got new carpet, we got blah, 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 blah. But I just was like, I just don't think I'll ever feel safe here. And I
Yeah,
feel like it's the right
yeah,
decision for me. I don't regret it. Even though it's your home, you can have another home, right? We found
yeah.
another home and um
This wonderful woman who started the surviving, I don't know if it's surviving mold or toxic mold website, Jennifer. And she's like, yeah, she like did her own home or had her handyman like looked in all the ways. And I'm just like, I don't know, it's too much for me. And I'm allergic and it's made me sick. Like I don't have time for that.
yeah, there's sort of only so much energy we have, especially when we're going through mold and we're trying to make money or, we have families, but, and yeah, there's big companies who've probably kind of failed people. And then there's like, yeah, like different, I've heard so many different stories, right? There's people whose husband was a contractor and they tried to do everything right. And then as soon
Yeah,
as they moved back
yeah,
in, there was like a new flood. And it's like, it's just tough,
yeah.
So it's
I probably should have done So I mean, because I paid like 150,000, like over 150,000 for this remediation. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and there's that also, I mean, that's a ton of money. I super respect it, but there's also that like if something, there's sometimes a point where we just have to walk away and like, we probably put 80 grand into my house and that was quite a few years ago and like
oh,
that was a lot, but like we also in the end like I'm glad. I just felt like emotionally I couldn't move forward in that house either, and I would have been super paranoid. And even when I moved out into the desert, I still went through a lot of ups and downs, which I share with my clients with the chemical sensitivity. And I think if I had been going through those ups and downs in my old house, I would have blamed the house. But the truth was, it was just my body still going through it. So it just
right,
takes that piece out to not be in the house anymore. That's,
right, right.
yeah. I was just
Um,
remembering,
any psychologist recommendations?
what's that?
Any psychologist recommendations? I feel like I'm gonna have PTSD for life. Like,
Yeah, yeah, it's really intense. Yeah, and I was gonna share, I don't know if he's still doing this work, but Mickey, who's, taught half this course, her husband ended up doing some of this work for kind of word of mouth in New Jersey. I don't know if he still is, but he definitely like knows this space. So, it's someone to work with. And then Mickey is in New Jersey. So Allie, if you just needed,
Mickey. Oh, Mickey Community. Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
she may
Oh,
know more people
I
too.
hope I get to
Um,
see her in real life sometime.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, if you guys are nearby, you can. She's
Yeah. I
like,
met like so many virtual people like between Pennsylvania and New York, and I found this place. I don't know if it's like effective or not. It's like it's something called like a harmonic egg, and it's like sound and light frequencies. And I'm like, I don't know if that works, but I'll do whatever at this point. I'm like, at least I can probably get some like cool selfies doing this. So I'm like, we should all schedule like a, you know, meet up, between all and in the middle of us and go visit this harmonic egg.
oh, it's like a place, like a location.
It's it's they have one in like Newtown, Pennsylvania too. It's I think it's like Abundant Wellness or something like that in New Jersey. And I really have like no idea how it works or anything at all, but I'm one of those people. It's like I had a brain MRI and it shows a possible tumor. And my neurologist is like, okay, well, that's because need to get an MRI of contrast. And I'm like, no, thanks, no gadolinium. Because if I don't have a problem now and I do that, then I probably will. So I'm just going to like try natural things and
Yeah, there's a lot of options out there, and to me, it's like, what are we gonna do every single day or mostly every day is what makes moves the needle the most. But it's also nice to like be supportive in like a nice environment too. Is what this sounds like. It would be a nice experience. And I think sound and vibration is very healing. Um, so I think there's just a lot more we can learn
yeah.
all
The
that.
I hate about some of these devices is they're like Bluetooth connected or high EMF. And I'm like, that defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah, yeah. We all have to just kind of pick our own path, I would say. Okay, Meredith shared a few different links in the chat here, our phone numbers. So thank you so much, Meredith. I appreciate it. Um, awesome. Well, let's hop on this case study, ladies. I don't think this Ashley is here still, right? Correct? No, Ashley. Okay, well, we'll be talking about Ashley's case. Let me share screen. I think it'll still be helpful when we can still talk about it together. And then Ashley, wherever you are, you can listen to this later. So I don't know if this is she's submitting like about herself or about a client, but this female, age 35, um, exposures at home and church. Sounds like she suspects like lifelong exposures over time, possibly vehicle exposure, um, time spent. Now she says 3 years, so I don't know if this is the current house. I made this intake for you guys just to do submit case studies, but it's not a bad intake for, a new client or consult because it just kind of cuts right to it. This client is still in mold, pretty big factor, as we know. Trying to save money to move, says. So financial resources not present, emotional support not present, but open to moving, open to changing, clean diet, poor sleep. Bowel movements, yes, but we're going to find out some more about the bowel movements in a minute. Digestive issues, yes. Pretty much always that's going to be going on with mold. Multiple food sensitivities, yes, right? That's another top symptom. Is she going to be sensitive to supplements and treatment styles? Yes. So another thing to keep in mind here. So she mentioned this later. She has time available, but her finances and her situation are more limited. Okay, so she is saying upper GI pain, both sides, left side more so pancreas side, yellow stool, extreme fatigue, common with mold, right? Brain symptoms, common with mold. Mostly frustrated that she can't afford to move or treatment. So these are some, good things to keep in mind, as you guys took the course. You don't want to, at least in my theory of treatment, you don't want to just be like, wow, and give everybody the same like $4,000 treatment plan, right? You want to be sensitive to where someone's at and what they can afford and what they have time for. So here's what she's taking. It's not much. This TRS, I meant to look up what that was. She said it's helping, but I don't know what it is. She didn't send in a lab, but these were the lab values she's seeing were low. So some low friendly bacteria and then some low short chain fatty acids. So when for A, you're in mold, B, your immune system and your is affected, your gut is inflamed, you're on now a limited food diet, you have abdominal pain. You're not going to be making much in short chain fatty acids because they generally are made from eating fibrous foods, and then the short chain fatty acids are produced. So it is a downside if our clients are getting on a very limited diet. Going back to this, which I think she says later she's had for a while. Sorry, let me shrink this up. GI pain that's been lingering, yellow stool lingering. I would document that you would like her to see her MD because, in a sense, yes, we can work on this naturally, but she's this person that, yeah, I would document that and recommend that. Because we want to take things that are really kicking up seriously. So I did look up some things about, the yellow stool. It could be a certain, different things. Could be related to bile. So she might benefit from some bile salts. But I don't like it, right? I'd rather kind of cover my bases as a coach and recommend she get that seen. So some other things going on for her. She has sensitive kidneys and interstitial cystitis. Fun, zero budget. She's saying perimenopause, so she's only 35. So technically, shouldn't really be. So she's obviously got some hormonal stuff going on. Mental and emotional stress, definitely. We are going to be having that. Issues with relationships, single mom, little support, going through mood issues, brain issues. And I think this was really helpful that she shared this. Too much fatigue to stick to a plan. So, I'm really feeling for this client. She knows she's got some issues going on, but she just doesn't have a lot of support. She's stuck in the mold. She's talking about, what to do next. Um, and she said maybe go back to basics with good probiotic and antioxidants. Yeah, I think that's a great idea because she's low in some beneficial things and she's with her fatigue and limited diet, she's low in antioxidants. So getting some more colorful things and supplements. And antioxidants can be pretty affordable, some of them. So if you're just adding like vitamin C or ALA or something, it could be fairly affordable. And then getting more things like, ginger tea, turmeric tea. Those are things that are fairly affordable that she could be doing. She said needs more fiber in her diet. Yeah, we already kind of talked about that. So if people are really struggling with the foods, they could do a fiber powder like the Mega Pre by Microbiome Lab. We also have a different one in our shop now, but you always want to start really, really low because if you're not having fiber and then you have it, it's kind of a lot. So I think she had some good intuition that support is needed more than killing right now. Also, I think true. Why are we killing while we're still in mold? And I think this client needs support on a lot of levels. So, um, yeah, I think we can talk more about that. So, client is spending time outside, which is great, has a sauna, which is great, not using it maybe as much, wants to move more, get outside more. Great, great suggestions. Um, has time but not money type of thing, and living in a rural area, probably where there aren't a lot of great building options. Uh, so the biggest question was about the interstitial cystitis and what to do about it. Again, I need to, can someone put in the chat what TRS is? I don't know if that's a certain diet or what. Oh no, it's some kind of supplement or pill. Cautious eating fermented foods. Yeah, don't eat fermented foods right now. We don't really need fermented foods, and I don't know why people get so bothered that they can't take them. Just if it's not a fit for you, don't have it right now. She's thinking about adding some kind of soothing things like marshmallow and slippery elm. It's great. That can be helpful for the IC and maybe for this abdominal pain. Um, yellow stool for 2 months straight. That's why I'm like, you need to document this. And very little stool coming out. He says bitters upset her digestive system and wondering why that is. Uh, yeah, I think the system is just kind of, your whole body is really stressed. So adding something that's kind of stimulating and moving is just maybe again, a little too much. Right now, you could do a smaller amount. Shockingly, I have some clients who can just do like 3 drops of a thing or 1 drop, and it does make a little difference, even though it's very, very little. Um, so I have some ideas where what I would say to this client, but let's open it up to the students. What would you ask? What would you say? Like, maybe I'll say it because this is where I was going to start. What would you say is like the biggest, like thing to address with this client? That would be my first question for you. Anita, yeah, I agree. Yeah, her gallbladder might be sluggish. There might be some congestion. Thank you, Aga. Synthetic zeolite. Okay, so it's like a binder. What was she doing that for? Oh, the IC. Hi, Aga. We haven't seen you in here in a little bit. Anita said doing clay foot soaks and magnesium foot soaks. Yeah, I like that. She has time. Those things aren't too expensive. What kind of clay do you do? Anybody wanna hop in before I start yapping about this client? Okay. So biggest thing for me when I read this client case is and I almost just like get the feeling, right? Like I just feel like it feels like very heavy. It feels very kind of hopeless feeling. In a good sense, this person understands the mold, understands what they're going through, but doesn't have much support or practically any support. There's different like relationship stress. It sounds like she's a parent. Um, there's financial stress. Maybe doesn't know where to move. So my biggest thing when I see this case is she's still in mold, and I'm not seeing much of a plan to get out. So if I could talk to this person, I would be talking about that um, the most. So with tenderness, like, you know, I, I don't I don't think it's not my style to be just barking at somebody to, why don't you care about your health or something. That's completely, this person cares about their health. Um, but I don't see a plan to get out. So she's not going to get better, still living in mold. This IC not going to get better living in mold. So there's little things we could tweak, right? Or, but I think the biggest thing is like we need to get her some hope and some plan of action, right? Because I don't if someone's still in mold, I want to hear their plan. So we're in May, you know, does she will she have enough money by August? Does she think there's any safe homes in this little area she lives? Like, what's the plan here? And I think this is sometimes where mold can like pull us down into uh, mm, a real, a really like a stuck place. I've had some clients literally still in their condo fighting with the HOA, been sick for 6 years. So do they always listen to me? No. But I feel like it's somebody's got to go in there and say, like, time to go, time to go. Like, you're picking the wrong battle. Um, Even with someone like this, I'd say, freaking get a loan, get out, like, get out. What help do you have? Do you have like an aunt in Florida who would take you in? What do you have? Like, we've got to like get the energy up and get her moving out of this place and out of this place like energetically. So that's probably where I'd start with her. And yeah, I think the IC we can think around with it, but mycotoxins are very toxic to the kidney and bladder. So it's not really going to get totally better there. That's kind of where I'd start with her. Any thoughts, Kira? But, um, you're unmuted, so I'll pick on you. What do you think?
I mean, some of the other things you can check, maybe looking at methylation in the back doorway with her primary care provider, looking at vitamin B12, folate, homocysteine. She can ask her provider, maybe. I mean, I know it might not help so much, but that might be a way. Maybe adding some TUCA as a supplement to increase
I thought about that
liver
too.
detox.
Yeah.
Maybe low dose naltrexone, LDN.
Okay.
If the provider would, prescribe that. Also looking at some of, like, her C-reactive protein, inflammatory markers, mycoplasma pneumonia, Epstein-Barr, to see if those have been reactivated.
Yeah, I like this. See, this is a kind of like a little presentation I want done when we do ongoing because yeah, like this is great. Does she have access to certain labs? We don't know if she has
Hmm.
medical insurance, right? We don't have that.
Right. So if she
Um,
does, that would be if she has her insurance, then hopefully that won't be so much out of pocket.
True. Yeah, and
That,
I kind of feel like she should be getting some conventional care anyways. Um, just with the gut stuff going on.
and
Just
especially with the interstitial cystitis, because LDN is very helpful. for that
Oh,
if you
okay.
can tell me. Yeah.
Oh, that's super helpful. Okay, I'm glad I picked on you. So
D
August,
mannitose. Mannitose supplement can also help. I don't know if she has colonization in the bladder, but that might help.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think, yeah, getting her a little more support, seeing like what she can access a little cheaper. Um, yeah, I, I, yeah, I would say I always just go a little part way on the treatment plan if she's still going to be living in the house. Like, again, what's the plan to exit? So
Mhm.
let's not get too deep into all the treatment. But maybe even like she gets some testing, starts a couple things, but that plan has to be in place. How is she going to
Yeah.
keep moving? Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Janice said liposomal curcumin was helpful for her while still on the mold. Awesome. Anita said high-tech air purifier. Good. Yeah, and August or somebody said opening windows. Janice said, yeah. Yeah, it sounds like this client does get outside. Um, but yeah, even getting rid of items in the house, keeping humidity down in the house until you do it. But yeah, having that, I would say having a plan. IFC from Cellcore. And so what is that? A inflammation formula, Anita? Okay. Awesome. Okay. Anything else? Inflammation calm. That's what it stands for. Okay. Yeah, and I think like this, I kind of share with you guys, I feel like this is a little bit more like the direction I want to put my practice in is like acknowledging the physical body, but also acknowledging like where this person is like emotionally and um, it may not, there may be more support, just identifying more support, like getting her to feel some hope, like getting her to um, you know, feel like something is happening and maybe even kind of looking at what stories and dynamics are like holding her down right now. Sometimes just identifying those and like starting to acknowledge those, like the energy starts to shift. Um, I have a client here locally who's really lovely, and she was diagnosed with fibromyalgia some years back, but she started seeing me for pain, and she does a pretty good job managing herself. But we started to talk about what was going on when she was diagnosed in that time in her life, and um, she married very young, so she's already going through a divorce at age 20, I think, um, and she was working 3 jobs, handling the logistics of this divorce, and that's when she got very sick. She like couldn't get out of bed. She was like in pain all over her body, and eventually diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which we know is just kind of a very general diagnosis. Maybe has some EBV in there, uh, but we sort of went to like what was going through her head as she was going through this, and she was like, I was just so like overwhelmed. I just like could not keep up. And now she kind of flares up in minor. It's like if her body gets a little overwhelmed now, she'll flare up again. And it's not as bad as the life situation is back then, but if she gets like hit with cigarette smoke, she'll flare up. Or if she, has too long of a work day, she'll flare up. So I think she possibly has some EBV in there and some other things, but she also got this, you know, she had the belief going on that like she couldn't handle everything when she first got sick. And it just felt so like juicy when that came out. It was like, oh, this is how you feel when, your body shuts down. So we're just at the baby stages of this. Um, but just super interesting to kind of unpack some of those things. And I think this person said in the intake, attracts toxic people. Okay, well, what's behind that? When did that start? Like, what does that look like? What are you getting out of that dynamic? So, um, not to say that's the only piece to work on, but I think if we work on the physical piece and don't even look at the other piece, it's going to be a lot slower than doing both the pieces at the same time. Yeah, Meredith said, make sure all the detox pathways are open, skin, dry brushing, all inexpressive. Yeah, great. I think this person would really do great with, since she has time on her hands, but not a lot of money, detox techniques. Yeah, doing simple things or making your own little, remedies and teas at home can be cheaper than buying everything. But dry brush is super cheap. Um, meditation, practice, grounding on the ground outside, all those kinds of things. And I think she said she's too tired to stick to a plan. So, making it reasonable for her or say, hey, we'd love for you to do 3 detox techniques a day, but as long as you do one, if you're having a hard day, just get in one or whatever it is, or something like that. Yeah, awesome. Well, I know some people came in a little later. This is our last official call of this program. If there's anything you want to share or like clients you'd like to attract that we can send your way or part of the country you're in, um, don't be shy. You can say so. Deborah, I think you came in a little later.
Yes,
Hi, how are you?
I am good. I just, yeah, was out running some errands and I'm like, I didn't realize what time it was. I mean, yeah. I guess my thing is, how long will we have all this, all the module to be able to get to all the modules and that?
You
How
mean
long will we have that?
just like over time, if you wanted to go back and read something? Yeah,
Correct.
I mean, I guess you can say, I always think it's funny when people say lifetime access because I don't know if in 50 years it'll still be but I'm not planning to take it down or like cut out your access. We'll put it that way.
Oh,
It's it's up there as long as I'm still in business.
Oh,
It's
awesome.
it's up there. Yeah, we're not gonna
okay.
change the password or do anything differently. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I am working on that questionnaire. I was just working on that. So yeah, I'll send that in too.
Yeah, no rush. We were saying when we got here, like I think Mother's Day weekend was a little bit busy for people too, so we're all just kind of catching up today. I don't know if we put like a firm time frame on when to finish the course. Um, like by end of May would be nice if you guys could send in your final stuff if you want to get the certification thing. If you don't really care about that, then don't worry about it. If you need like an extension or something, reach out to us. But it's just kind of for housekeeping so we can keep an eye on like when you turn in the final thing and so we can get, just so we kind of can get back to you. And for those of you guys who came in a little later, we're thinking of doing an ongoing like bi-monthly support group. But maybe it'll take a minute to everybody have a breath to get the summer. But then
Yeah.
we'll do that. Yeah. And I may start one later in the fall for like the public too. So it's kind of like something it's funny. I think I was in a place before where I felt like running a membership felt like, oh my God, kind of the same thing. Like it's for a lifetime. I have to do it forever. But I'm starting to realize like it's actually really fun to come on and just talk and brainstorm. So yeah, I think we're coming up with some good ideas to make it like nice and affordable. Amy, yeah, I will check for you if you filled it in. So Janice is sharing, she's in Texas. Janice, come on and chat for a sec. She works a lot from detox from heavy metals, which certainly not everyone does. So do you want to talk a bit more about the heavy metals piece, Janice, for a sec?
Sure. I worked for in 2020, I worked with Amy Offit, who is a Lyme literate doctor. She's now the president of ILADS
Oh,
currently. And I worked with her for a couple of years running her cellular healing program, which was basically detoxing patients from heavy metals. And the protocol we were using was similar to the PAMPA protocol. And I found it really hard for patients to comply with it because of they just really hated the every 4 hours around the clock for 3 days with the ALA and DMSA. They hated that, and it's part of it. So
huh.
I didn't have really good patient compliance with that. But since then, I've also become a Quicksilver detox certified practitioner,
Oh,
and I worked with another doctor, integrative doctor, after her um, in the last year and a half that had really, really good. She would test heavy metal test patients before she put them on it, and then test afterwards, and had really good results and a lot better patient compliance and got through it a lot quicker. It took me 2 years. I had really high levels of mercury and lead. My levels were just off the charts, and it took me over 2 years doing it um, the way that was more like Pompa's protocol. Um, to get my levels down. And we actually saw it come down a lot faster with the Quicksilver scientific
and what
protocols.
do you do like the urine test or the hair test?
Well, when I was working for Amy Offit, at that time we were doing a provoked urine test. But the other doctor I was working with was using the Quicksilver Trimercury, which was blood, urine, and hair.
Okay. And does that test everything or just mercury?
It also you could do just mercury, but there's also a blood metals panel that came with it, so it would test all the rest of them too.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, I would get some questions on that, and that's definitely not my biggest expertise, even though clients come to me about it. Do you have a website or email you want to share in the
Sure,
chat?
my website, which I'm fixing to redo, it's basically just all about mold, but it is RYL
YL?
holisticwellness.com, and the name of my company is Rejuvenate Your Life Holistic Wellness.
Okay, I think I got it in the chat. Okay, super. Oh, I put .con. Sorry. Uh, awesome. That's super good to know. Yeah. Yeah, Karen is helping me come up with this little membership idea. This is exactly like what I'd love to, highlight. It's something like that I know I'm never really going to get too much into just heavy metals, but be able to like present it and, teach each other and then share with my list and be like, this is someone you can trust and she's got the mold training too. Like super cool. Like I'm really starting to see how this could all come together, which is awesome. And Tara can do labs. Tara, I don't know if you can do out of state stuff though. Not sure how that works, but it's almost like we could be developing a bit of a community where everybody within this thing has their own specialties. I know Karen likes to do more like lifestyle coaching type work. I'm getting into like the mindset, emotional piece quite a bit. So yeah, I'm really excited to see like how this is all what this could become.
Mhm.
I think clients come to us and it's like, wow, they have so much going on, so much like questions, so much, they need help in a lot of ways. And it's kind of too much for one person. Like you've got to spread that out. you like, take these questions over here. It's just a lot to put all on ourselves. So yeah, I think it's really great to have like a network. Awesome. Okay, well, I think maybe we should, Tara, I'll pick on you one more time. Can you see clients out of state, or they have to go to see you in state?
They have to be where I'm licensed at. So licensed in South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia.
Okay.
Um,
Is
and then
that
I'm
just
looking,
is that just
yeah,
for the first treatment or for every treatment?
uh, yeah, they have to be there for all the treatments if they want to see me.
Okay.
Like I can't see across lines unless I become a health coach, I guess. I mean, but I would have to yeah, as far as myself being a provider to diagnose and treat and all of that, then they have to live in the state and where I'm licensed at. So,
Okay. Which is
yes.
fine. Which is fine. And what else were you gonna say? I cut you off.
No, I was thinking, I'm trying to also get, be a health coach as well. But of course, that's different in terms of, being able to fully diagnose
Right.
and
Yeah.
treat and prescribe and all of that stuff. So, um, right. But my niche is basically trying to help prevent cognitive decline. Unfortunately, my mom has Alzheimer's. I have the gene, one copy, and so does my mom. So that's what my niche
Interesting.
is gonna be moving forward is really Alzheimer's, dementia and prevention of cognitive decline. I'm at
Okay.
risk, and I've been exposed to mold in the military and still
Mm,
healing,
okay.
up and down. My mom, she certainly had leaks in her house. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's almost a little niche too, is the military exposure in your
Yeah.
community. Yeah. What, do you have a website, Tara?
Yeah, yeah. So the name of my business is Transitional Wellness Center. So transitionalwellnesscenter LLC.com.
Okay. Okay. And I know I sent out a spreadsheet where we could all share, and I don't know if everyone's shared that yet, so I'll send it out one more time, and um, then I'll follow up with you guys as we create our little monthly support group. Um, yeah. Well, thank you so much,
Great.
everyone. Really appreciate it. This has been like a very fun group for me, and I've really been inspired to double down since in the last couple of months. And I think that's a lot of you ladies have just kind of like made this kind of, this can be a lot. So you guys have kind of brought this up for me, brought my energy up in the last couple of months. So I really appreciate it. And I will be in touch here soon. But thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good rest of
Thank
your day and
you.
week. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.